Good evening and welcome. The Cypress-Fairbanks ISD Board of Trustees is now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, December 11th in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD Mark Henry Administration Building. I want to welcome our members of the audience and our online viewers of this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As Cypress-Fairbanks trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It's not the role of the board to make day-to-day operation decisions. The management and the day-to-day operation of the district are responsible to the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve these issues. It's a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear these matters discussed. Audience members may not participate in the meeting outside the designated agenda items or for citizen participation. Disruption of the board meeting by any person may result in the removal. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to tonight's topics. Agendas may not represently go in the order that they're received. During the course of the meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board may go into a closed session and consider matters posted duly for 557.071 and 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on the district website and may be available for video on demand. For the video to adequately represent the proceedings, I ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that your cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD School Board. Tonight we have no elected officials, no Boy Scouts, and no Girl Scouts. At each open meeting of the board, patrons are registered in accordance with the procedures laid out in BED regulation may address the board for agenda comments prior to the board's consideration on action. Unless the item is in the agenda otherwise rearranged by the board president during the meeting, agenda comments will generally be taken prior to each agenda item. For detailed instructions on registering, please visit our website for more information on this. Patrons who have registered to speak tonight may see their orders listed on the screen behind me. Before your name is called, please move forward and sit in one of the two reserved seats on the row to my right. When you approach the podium, as you can see, there are two, one to my right, one to my left. You may see the monitor inside the podium. When it's your time to begin speaking, the digital presentation timer will be displayed on top of the monitor. The timer will be set in accordance to the number of speakers registered tonight. There will be a 30-second and a 15-second warning light to monitor and wrap up your comments. The invocation to tonight's board meeting will be given by Joel. Hi, Joel. Mosier, the lead pastor of Grace Life Baptist Church. He's been there since 2012. Pastor Joel and his wife Tara have 5 children ranging from elementary school through college. Like other parents, they volunteer in CFISD schools. They have more than a crowded athletic schedule and attempt to make time for each other. Thank you, Joel, for being here, and thank you tonight for supporting Cy-Fair ISD. Before the invocation, I'd like to introduce the Cy Falls High School Air Force ROTC cadets who are presenting tonight's colors. Performing in detail are Cadet Wim Igons carrying the U.S. flag, Cadet Anthony Viola on the U.S. rifle, Cadet Thomas Reyes carrying the Texas flag, and Cadet Lauren Miller on the Texas rifle. These cadets present the colors to you under the direction of Chief Master Sergeant, U.S. Air Force Retired Reginald Muro. At this time, would you please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this time of the year where we get to pause and think of all the good gifts that you have given us. Lord, we confess that far too often we seek to serve or to lead apart from seeking divine wisdom. So Lord, we stop and we ask that you would grant to our board, our administration, wisdom that is from above, that is peaceable. Lord, because of why we gather this evening as a member of our community, as a faith-based leader, as most of all a parent of 2 children in school in Cy-Fair, and as the spouse of a Cy-Fair employee, Lord, I want to thank you for our school district. I want to thank you for the 14,000 Cy-Fair employees who give more than just their time. Lord, they give themselves in teaching to the next generation, and in so many cases provide care, counsel, and emotional support to so many of our students. Lord, I thank you for all 118,000 of our students that have been entrusted to this school district every one of them valuable, every one of them reflecting the image of their Creator. May we continue to communicate to them of our love and our welcome to each and every one of them. Lord, on this final school board meeting for Dr. Henry, we want to thank you for 12 years of faithful servant leadership. I thank you for his wife. I thank you for his children, his grandchildren, for allowing him to give of his time as he has to this community. Lord, he has led us with integrity through difficulties, through challenges, and we are the better for his servant leadership. And while we sit in this administration building that bears his name, Lord, his greatest legacy will be the thousands of students and teachers who have been inspired to serve their community in a way that he has so modeled. So, Lord, I pray your blessing upon he and his family, and for each of us in this room now, Lord, we pray that may we love one another as we have been loved. May we serve one another as we have been served by you. May we forgive one another as we have been forgiven. And I pray all of this in the name of my Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You may be seated, please. The oath of office portion was presented at our Thursday board work session. We'll now present to the remarks and recognition part of our agenda. We have quite a few speakers tonight. We'll start with those speakers. Becky Denton.
Well, good evening, Dr. Henry, President Henry, and Board of Trustees. Tonight I'm here representing the 12 high school principals and directors of our special program schools to try in 2 minutes or less to express our deepest gratitude for you, Dr. Henry. You have united our district with a laser focus of opportunity for all. Your noble inclusivity has demonstrated in our large high schools as well as our special population schools. I remember first meeting you. It was your first week, or maybe your first month in your job, and you just showed up in my office. I was a principal at Cy Falls. You didn't make an appointment. I guess you don't have to. You just showed up. And since that time, you did that for all of us, and you wanted to get to know us. And since that time, Dr. Henry, you've been showing up at ball games, parades, graduations, competitions. You seem to just be everywhere. You drive to Waco, we see you in San Antonio, and you also made it very clear that you had a ring box that you wanted to put all your state championship rings in before you retired. You might want to stay one more semester. But you didn't just show up for the fun. You showed up on the darkest of days. You came to our campuses after we experienced crisis, not to evaluate our leadership, but to simply be there. You attended funerals for our students, for our staff, and even for my mom. You made those around you feel so special, and our students and staff would geek out when they got to take a picture with you. And I have never seen our band kids go so crazy when you come on the screen. Didn't matter if the kids played soccer or football or band or science Olympiad, you made each of those children feel special. You are truly loved. We're so thankful for your teaching over the last 12 years, whether it was intentional or unintentional. We were watching. You stood in the gap for us during storms, floods, ice storms, budget cuts, COVID, boundary changes, personnel issues, craziness, ugliness, and you always led with grace. So tonight, we high school principals and special population principals, we stand in your honor for the investment that you've made in each of us. And one more thing, we love you too.
Marshall Thomas.
There we go. Good evening, board members. Dr. Henry. My name is Marshall Thomas, and I am proud to serve as the head band director at Langham Creek High School. I rise today on behalf of myself, but specifically on behalf of our fine arts programs, to recognize and thank Dr. Henry for his years of leadership and service to the community. To tell you a little bit about myself, I myself am a product of Cypher ISD. I attended Moore Elementary, Hamilton Middle School, and then Cypress Creek High School. And then I began teaching as an assistant band director at Cypress Lakes High School before moving to Langham Creek, where I've been since 2014. In my time with the district, as a student and an educator, I have witnessed us grow tremendously from 5 high schools at the time to 12 now, from a gravel parking lot at Pridgeon Stadium to the amazing Berry Center and Cypher FCU Stadium. And now we're here in this beautiful building with your namesake, just steps away from one of the finest school district performing arts venues in the country. I mean, it's just amazing. Under your leadership, Dr. Henry, we have top class fine arts programs on every campus. My colleagues in choir, orchestra, dance, theater, color guard, visual arts are some of the most brilliant educators I know. It's a privilege to work alongside them every day and an absolute honor to work with the best students any teacher could ask for. This would only be possible in a school district that values and supports the fine arts. One would be hard-pressed to find a more robust fine arts community in the state, especially among school districts as large as ours. Dr. Henry, your support has meant so much to countless fine arts students and eventual teachers like myself throughout the years. A story like mine is only possible in a place like this, Cypher ISD. So as we move forward into the next era of Cypher ISD, the best thing that we can do to honor your legacy is to continue to support a place where fine arts thrives. So Dr. Henry, sir, with all of our heart, thank you very much. We wish you well in retirement. Thank you.
Dr. Ogletree.
Dr. Henry and the board, I'm here to say how thankful I've been for the 12 years that you have been at the helm of our district. I was on the board that brought you here to the district, and I've always been told that that's the most important decision that a board could make, and it sure proved to be a great decision. You were a true catalyst and champion for the motto, opportunity for all, of which I embraced and much of our community embraced. As superintendent, you emphasized this and challenged everyone with this motto to meet the needs of all the students of our diverse district. And everything you did, managing the 3rd largest school district in the state, whether it was the systems and processes, managing that, holding people accountable, overseeing the progress of our district, advocating for the success of our student, and handling in a fine way the resources of this district, and collaborating with your A-team and the board, purchasing land, building buildings, all of the things that you did and much more than I named had one end in mind, and that was the success of every student. That I will always appreciate that you did to this district. You are truly made a difference in our district, and I would say also personally in my life. One of the things I appreciated too was you being a man of faith and carrying that with you in and out of meetings, making decisions, and the conversations we've had, the time we've even prayed together is really, will always be on my mind. I wish you the best. My wife and I are praying for you and your family. You made a mark. We're thankful for it. God bless you.
John Ryan.
Got to be kidding me. I'm following a pastor. Story of my life. Good evening, board members and Dr. Henry. Thank you for providing this opportunity to recognize my friend Mark Henry on his recent retirement as superintendent of CFISD. I was on the board that hired Mark, and I have to say that it was one of the best decisions that our board made during that pivotal time in our district, and probably the best decision I made during my tenure on the board. Little did we know when we hired Mark what would happen in the future with floods, freezes, and a global pandemic. Mark's leadership during these times was nothing short of spectacular. He took the brunt of all the critics, but remained focused on what was in the best interest of our students and staff. His leadership during those times would be quite a legacy for any superintendent. But since my time is limited, I would like to share my thoughts on what is his CFISD legacy. I believe all of us would like to leave a legacy, whether it be in our career or including our family. In a way, Mark's legacy encompasses both. 3 simple words: opportunity for all. Mark believes that every student in our district should have the same opportunity to dream, develop, and succeed. He achieved and surpassed that goal, in my opinion. I was grateful to serve alongside him and honored to call him my friend. Thank you, Mark, and enjoy your retirement. You said people don't say it enough, and Becky did recently, so let's just say I love you and appreciate your friendship. I wish you, Cindy, and your family the best as you enter the next chapter of your life. Thank you, brother.
Becky Coop.
Hello. I'm honored to speak to you tonight and represent the middle school leaders of the district. Dr. Henry, it's with bittersweet emotions that we bid you farewell. You have been a servant leader that has led with your faith. We appreciate all that you've done for our district. Throughout the trials and tribulations you have faced, you have never, as our leader, ever lost your why, which is the thousands and thousands of CFISD students who we educated here at Cy-Fair. You have walked the walk and talked the talk daily as you attended thousands of student activities, not only for your own grandchildren, but for all those other students where you visited campuses, attended football, basketball games, track, band concerts, orchestra concerts. I don't know when you ever found the time, but you were there. When you first got to us, you said golf really wasn't your sport, and as a result, you pivoted and created the Superintendent Fun Run, and you have been instrumental in raising over $1 million for the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation and student scholarships. When you've created a culture of excellence and reflection, when you encouraged us to, with Lanyap, Opportunity for All, and Check Your Corners, you did so to remind us that lead, to remember our why, and to reflect as to where we are as leaders in our journey in the pursuit of excellence, establishing CFISD as a destination district. Throughout your time, you have led with grace and humility, regardless of the numerous challenges placed in your path from COVID, mask, library books, occasional uncalled for insults, and hundreds of emails you're CC'd on daily. James chapter 1, verse 12, blessed is the man who perseveres under trial. Through it all, you've held your head high and remembered your why and calmed our fears, supported us as leaders, and showed us you trusted your principals to lead their campuses. This is what great superintendents do. You have been there when we need you to steer the ship into uncharted waters, hold back the tide of negativity, and celebrated us for the great things that are happening on our campuses in the district every day. We all would like to thank you for always respecting our time at district leadership meetings and keeping it short. We hope you'll pass that along. Psalm chapter 78, verse 72. With an upright heart, he shepherded them and guided them with his skillful hand. That will be your legacy. We love you, and we are blessed to have had you for the time you were here, and we will miss you more than you will know.
Cheryl Bradford.
Good afternoon, Dr. Henry and Board of Trustees. My name is Cheryl Bradford, and I'm the theater director, and I am here on behalf of the performing arts and the visual arts. I actually teach at Cypress Ranch, and you've been on our campus, and you've been on every campus. And we all feel like we know you. Now, all of these people have been pretty serious, and I was told this was a roast. So I don't know if I should continue or not, but Dr. Henry, go ahead. Okay, all right, then here it goes. You know, when I see a teacher or an administrator who's retired, they come back like 3 months, 6 months later. I mean, they are looking great. I mean, they lose weight, they look rested. You're probably going to have a full head of hair. You know, and I ask them, what are you doing? And what's the key? What's the best part about retirement? Many of them say Sunday nights, because there's no clock to wake up to. I think your answer may be Sunday and Monday nights. I mean, this is a great crowd, don't get me wrong. You enjoy this time, but you won't have to wake up the next morning. Dr. Henry, I remember just a couple of years ago, some of my theater students were MCs at the CFISD retirement gala. And they were in rehearsals. Teresa, you were sitting with us. And I mean, these teachers, they had served the district for like 50 years. I mean, wasn't it only Cyfair High School then, right? And 50 years. Looks like you still owe us a few more. Seriously, though, Dr. Henry, I'm honored to serve alongside you. I've been with the district for 40 years, and I've never worked for a leader like you. You show up. I don't think there's any kid, any teacher, that doesn't know who you are. You are a rock star. Yes, you show up on the billboard, on the screen, and everyone cheers. I don't know if it was Teresa that put you up to wearing the cape at the fund runs, but you do it. You do it for the kids, and we thank you. You have come to Cypress Ranch, and you've brought your family, and you've enjoyed the shows, and I thank you. I thank you. And it's probably turning a different color. I'm not done yet, though. Dr. Henry, the performing and visual arts directors and the students, thank you for your support of the arts. I mean, the state of the art building, it's like a mini hobby center. And I know that there are going to be countless music performances there, dance, theater, the art, the gallery. On behalf of the band, choir, dance, orchestra, theater, color guard, I want to thank you. And I want you to know that if you're looking for anything to do in your spare time, you can always come over. You will have to audition, and I think I have a role for you. Dr. Henry, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Chris Brister.
That was a tough one to follow. Dr. Henry, President Henry, Board of Trustees, thank you for allowing me to have a few minutes of your time tonight. My name's Chris Brister. I'm the Campus Athletic Coordinator at Cy Falls High School, and I can remember the day that I formally had my first conversation with you. It was on the floor of the Alamo Dome when we won the state championship in 2017. And I'd been on the job for 2 weeks in my new role as the Campus Athletic Coordinator, and I thought, man, I'm really, really good at this job. We've been here 2 weeks, and I'm hanging with superintendents, and I'm winning state championships. And me and my new buddy, Dr. Henry, we're going to win a whole bunch of these and get really, really close. And we haven't been back since. And so I understood real quick that leadership is difficult, and you always made it look easy. A little bit about me. I'm a Cypher ISD. I've been a part of Cypher ISD in some capacity for 33 years. 12 as a student and 21 as a teacher and coach, both at Cy Springs and at Cy Falls. And I could go on and say a lot of the things that have been said tonight about facility upgrades and what that's done for our athletic department, bond proposals that have been passed and schools built and renovations of school, all in the name of giving students the best opportunity to succeed. But there's a couple of things that have stood out to me, and I want to publicly thank you for your leadership during the pandemic. A time when I don't think any of us knew what we were doing. I don't think any of us knew where this was headed. But you allowed us to fail. You listened to our concerns, and you gave us an opportunity to, in some ways, lack of a better term, to wing it. And as a result, our students thrived in that. We felt supported by you at all times. And if that's the mark of a servant leader, then I can't think of a better one during a very trying time. But I had the opportunity a couple of months ago, I want to tell a story. On Fridays with our football team, we have some guided discussions. And the topic of the day was, I had a group of kids in my group, about 10 or 12 of us. And the question was, name me somebody in history or somebody current, somebody other than that's on our football team right now that's all in all the time. And so we had the usual suspects mentioned. It was Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and folks like that. It really wasn't where I was trying to go with this, but I'm dealing with 8th grade, 18-year-olds, and so that's what you get sometimes. I had some that mentioned their parents, which was really cool. I had Martin Luther King. I had Jesus. I'm not comparing you to Jesus, but I did have one that from a Johnny Carr guy who said he said Dr. Henry's all in all the time. And I said, really? That's a great answer. I agree with you. Tell me why. And he said, well, I love the school I'm at. I love the teachers. I love the administration and my coaches. And this is a kid that marches in the band at halftime of the game that he's playing in. He also is a baseball player. He runs track for us. So this is a guy that's done a lot. And he said, and I've been given a lot of opportunities by a lot of great people that work here, and the only reason they're here is because they share the same vision as the leader at the top. And it's real easy for us as adults to stand up here and talk about great facilities and things that have been done, but it's more important when it impacts the kids, and I know that's what you've always been about. So the motto and the slogan has been CFISD for all, and so mission accomplished. Dr. Henry, you've left a legacy of that, and it's seen by the students, it's seen by us as well. So enjoy your retirement. We sure appreciate you. Thank you.
Bob Covey.
Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Mark. My name's Bob Covey, and you did pronounce it right. I'm very proud of you because it took Matt Morgan almost 6 years to get it correct. Kathleen and I have been residents of Cy-Fair since 1976. My wife taught in school district for 32 or 33 years. And we raised our children in this school district, and we love this school district. I served on the Board of Trustees for 16 plus years, and I had the wonderful opportunity to serve on the board that actually chose Dr. Henry to take over the superintendency. Unlike what Don Ryan has said, he was not the only candidate that applied. There were others. And I will say I was very pleased when you went with Thompson and Moses, because I knew that whoever the choice was, they would be valuable to us in the future. Dr. Henry, with you coming on and Dr. Anthony retiring, I was a little concerned seeing Dr. Anthony go off with Raise Your Hand, Texas. But after I got to know you and your family, I had no concerns whatsoever. There are many things that Dr. Henry brought to our district. Actually, the New Arrival Center, and if you have not gone there as a board, as an individual, it is an extremely enjoyable visit. And you will actually see what I consider as a world culture with different ethnicities working together to learn our English and work in our school district. Now, Dr. Henry, we had this before he came, but as Dr. Macias will tell you, we stole it from Galena Park while he was there. And Dr. Macias says we took something that was pretty good and made it really good. But I really appreciate you coming up with that and us being part of that. I will say Dr. Henry supported me in an idea that I had, and that was to have an all-campus group of singers. And so we ended up having a chamber choir from every high school that performs. And I think we've also had jazz bands from every high school. We've had mariachi bands. We have had a number of things that I think indicate that even though we are a large district, we are a small community and we really care for each other. Our college academy is in all of our 12 schools, and that is just an amazing program. Cy-Fair was founded on excellence in education since our earlier superintendent, Millsap, who truly wanted to educate the best for the students' ability. This is not a time to just go back to basics, and I heard that during the election, for we are a global community, and we must move forward in providing an exceptional education for opportunity for all. Thank you, Dr. Mark, for the years of service to our community, for being such a wonderful leader while I served on this board. I love you like I do a brother, and only wish the best for you and Cindy and your family. And as you retire from CFIC, I doubt seriously we will not see your face, because I have a feeling education's in your blood and you'll be around. Thank you very much.
Wafia Rahman.
Board members and Dr. Henry, my name is Wafia Rahman, and I'm here tonight with Grant Finstad, and we are a couple of the drum majors of the Cypress Woods High School Band. On behalf of all CFISD drum majors, band students, and all fine arts programs, we want to thank Dr. Henry for everything he has done for us and those before us during his time in the district. The bands would like to thank you for always showing up, for your support at our halftime performances, competitions, and concerts, especially at State and BOA San Antonio. When talking to our friends from programs across the district, it always meant so much to all of us to see you at our performances. Your support of our marching programs only enhanced the experiences we have had, as well as the type of productions we have been able to put on, and also led us to wonderful facilities like the Visual Performing Arts Center being built for our community. I know a lot of schools aren't given the privilege to display their work in a facility like that, and so we are all so honored and grateful that you would do that for us. One thing we will definitely miss most about our football games is cheering for you on that big screen. You're such a huge role model to all of us. It truly makes our football games better. The theater, choir, orchestra, and art departments would also like to thank you for providing all of your supports at plays, concerts, and art showcases. They truly couldn't do it without you. Lastly, I don't know if you remember this, but a Texas bill eliminating all required fine arts classes was proposed in 2021. And you responded with, CFISD will be offering fine arts regardless of what the state decides. This community knows that fine arts are necessary for a world-class education, and I will be speaking to our legislators about the importance of arts for all. We are so grateful that we have a superintendent that cares about us the way that you do. Our fine arts programs would not be successful without your support and encouragement along the way. We wish you the best in your next journey in retirement, and we'll miss you so much. On behalf of all fine arts students in this amazing school district, we thank you for always being our biggest cheerleader and advocate. We love you, Dr.
Dr.
Henry.
Leslie Martone.
Board and Dr. Henry, it has truly been an honor to work alongside you in the Cy-Fair community for the past 12 years. Thank you for your time and work you've put into the Cy-Fair Houston Chamber of Commerce as a chairman, a director, and a volunteer for many of our events. You have played co-host at the President's Table each monthly luncheon, hosting our sponsors and our speakers. The Cy-Fair community is so blessed to have you as a leader of our amazing school district, but much more than that, you have been such a support in many nonprofits and community projects that have meant so much to all of us. From hurricanes to ice storms to a global pandemic, we've been through it all together. I knew if I texted or called you, you would respond. For that, I am forever grateful. I have served alongside you at the Cypress-Fairbanks Hospital Board, as well as the HCA Houston Healthcare North Cypress Hospital Board, as well as the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation. And a little funny story, one of the first times I ever met Dr. Henry, I had my 10-year-old at the time, he's now 20, and I lost sight of him. And I was like, where did Jacob go? And I turn around, and he has put a popcorn box on Dr. Henry's head. And I was mortified, but you were laughing and you were giggling with him and you were just encouraging him, and I thank you for that. I am proud to call you friend. Thank you for being such an amazing superintendent, and I wish you all the best of luck in your retirement. I love you, my friend.
Nikki Cowart.
Big shoes to fill. Dr. Henry, upon hearing of your retirement announcement last spring, Cy-Fair AFT wanted you to know that we have considered it a privilege and an honor to learn from you and to work with you. Our kids, our neighborhoods, and our public schools have been beyond fortunate to have a captain steering the ship that is as humble and dedicated as you are. You have set the bar very high for all the leaders that come after you because your commitment to our Cy-Fair community is unmatched. You always put our schools and our students first, and while you and I may have sometimes disagreed, you were never disagreeable, and even that is a real rarity these days. I want you to know how much it meant to me that we always made ourselves available. There were a couple of times of text messages after the workday had ended, not often, but bottom line, your approach to your work here has been rooted in trust and support. So I just wanted to say publicly tonight what I shared with you and Teresa privately. Amazing grace is what comes to mind when I think back on all that you have led our school district through the last few years. Life is full of changes, and I think we've all sincerely said it tonight that we sincerely hope that our paths cross in the near future. But more than anything, we wish you and Cindy and your entire family a wonderful and well-deserved new chapter in this retirement season.
Marie Holmes.
My name is Marie Holmes, and I have had the pleasure of working with Dr. Henry under the Cy-Fair Educational Foundation. And Dr. Henry, I wouldn't want to pass up an opportunity to tell you thank you so much for supporting CFEF and our mission all of these years. Over the past 12 years, you've been an amazing leader, mentor, and friend. Thank you for your unwavering support and love for our community, teachers, and especially our students. You will so very be missed, and I will miss you dearly. Thank you.
Karen Stockton.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Henry. I'm up here to speak on behalf of all of our elementary principals. Thanks to Patricia Myers, who said I had the most seniority, and then quickly said that's because I'm witty or wise and funny, I guess. I don't know. But Dr. Henry, we'd like to thank you for the 12 and a half years of support, encouragement, positivity, and love that you've demonstrated. We've had so many things to celebrate in our district over the past 12 and a half years, and we've also had some devastating events occur. Through hurricanes, floods, freezes, and a pandemic of epic proportions, you led us with courage, with passion, with confidence, and we wouldn't have wanted anyone other than you leading the way. You are truly amazing, and we will miss you dearly. Enjoy the next chapter of your life. We love you too. Thank you.
I would like to thank our principals and other staff members for coming tonight to share your gratitude for Dr. Henry. On behalf of the board, we'd like to also express our appreciation to Dr. Henry for your 12 and a half years of unwavering commitment to our students, our staff, and the entire Cypress community. You will be missed. You're not done yet. We have a few more gifts for you. If I could get you to come in front with the board members. Go ahead, board members. Don't forget your, Todd, you got your bag? The bag? The bag? Okay, everybody got it? So I've been told by Cindy you don't like to take vacations, but apparently you're going on a cruise here soon. Congratulations on your retirement. We created a survival kit to ensure your newfound freedom is nothing short of legendary. First off, we have a Hawaiian shirt. Nothing screams "I'm living my best life" like a shirt that practically tropical vacation on its own. So get ready for your cruise and style into retirement with style. Now we know you're going to be basking in glory in the sun. So we have this other, it's the bluish one, Julie. So we have to have safety first, right? So we included a little suntan lotion to shield that precious head and that body from becoming a lobster. No one likes a retirement look that looks like a cooked rather than relaxed. And for those buffet-induced comas on a lounge chair, we thought we got you covered there too, literally. Slip on those stylish sunglasses. I got the bag, there we go. And dreaming away at the exotic dreams as you encounter that newfound freedom. Yeah, and there you go.
Just for the record.
Your new retirement motto is buffet naps and beach vibes. Yeah. And we have one last thing, Mark. And before I turn the remarks and recognitions portions over to you, Mark, we have one little brief slideshow for you.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
You messed it up. I was trying to figure.
I was trying to figure that out.
Who's been sitting in?
Agenda item 2A, the superintendent will make remarks and announcements regarding the honors and achievements earned by staff and students.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I start that, thank you to everyone who came and spoke, and those of you who are in attendance today. It means the world to me. For those of you who are Cypher ISD employees, what's the wristband say? What's it say? It's too big for me, but it's not for us. And it's been a real joy over the past 12 and a half years, knowing that it was way too big a job for me. I knew that from the very first day, and I won't even tell you what Marnie was talking to me about when I walked into the door in July of 2011. But it's actually been pretty good since then. So tell me, I'll tell you offline sometime. But anyway, it's been it's been a real joy, and there's so many of you here tonight that have retired before me, but served so well. People in the school district, I don't know those of you in the viewing audience or in the audience here, you don't know this, but at our district leadership team meetings, I end every meeting with, "I love you," and I really mean that. And I tell all our district leaders that, because I think probably what have the biggest shortage of in this world is a true love for other people. We get too caught up in our differences, and we forget about that we're all God's creatures. So I think when we can look past those differences and look for things that we have in common, it sure makes life a whole lot better. And in 100 years, I hate to tell you, everybody in here over 50, nobody's going to remember us. But educators and the great things that you've done for the young people over your career. They may not remember you personally, but you'll continue to live because that little light that you shared with a young person, with a family, you changed the direction of a family that continues to live on. It's been an honor. The hardest thing I've ever done is retire from Cypher ISD because it truly is the biggest and the best. But I'm going to live here, and I trust these ladies and gentlemen up here and all the people on the dais and all of those of you out there. I've got 5 grandchildren in Cypher ISD schools right now, and when I call you because one of them's in trouble, please take my phone call. So, no, it's been an honor. Thank you, and I'll just finish those comments by saying I love Cypher ISD, and I love all of you too. Thank you. Okay. November and December have showcased many great moments in CFISD. Please enjoy this recap video highlighting how our students and staff brought out the best. Congratulations to students from Sampson Elementary School, Sprague Middle School, and Cypress Springs High School who placed first in the annual Superintendent Holiday Card Contest. Winning designs were selected from more than 262 entries across CFISD. In the elementary school category, Sampson Elementary 5th grade student Sydney Hines won Best of Show for her collage titled Holiday Greetings. In the middle school category, Sprague Middle School 8th grade student Caitlin Ricci won Best of Show for her color pencil piece titled A Treasured Reflection. In the high school category, Cypress Springs High School sophomore Addison Flores won Best of Show for her digital media piece titled Christmas Dreams. Thank you to all of our participating student artists, and I don't know if you know this or not, but myself, along with the associate superintendents, we pick those winners every year, and it is brutal trying to narrow that down because there's so much unbelievable talent here in our district. Cy Hoops. The 14th annual Houston Methodist Cy Hoops Invitational wrapped up on Saturday, December 9th at the Berry Center. The 24-team boys basketball tournament helped raise funds for the Cypher Educational Foundation, which provides student scholarships and staff development grants. Shadow Creek High School won first place in the 3-day tournament, defeating Cypress Falls High School in the championship game. Cypress Falls senior Braden Young was named the De'Aaron Fox Most Outstanding Player of the tournament. The bringing out the best character trait for the months of November and December is generosity. Thank you to all of our campuses for emphasizing strong character for all CFISD students. CFISD schools and facilities will be closed December 22nd through January 4th for winter break. Friday, January 5th is a professional day for staff. I wish everyone a safe and restful holiday and enjoy time with friends and family. During the break, I want to remind everyone celebrating the New Year's festival that fireworks are prohibited on school district property. The CFISD Police Department will patrol the district's premises during the holiday season, although I don't think they're out in Bridgeland because they're firing them like crazy. Citizens who observe such violations are requested to contact the CFPD dispatch at 832-237-2600. 2373. We also have a new principal to announce, and it's my pleasure to turn it over to Christina Cole for that introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. President Henry and Board of Trustees, it's always a delight to introduce a new principal to you and to the Cy-Fair community. I am pleased to share that Lloyd Turner has been named the new principal of Cy Woods High School. Many of you already know Mr. Turner, as he is currently serving as a principal at Aragon Middle School for the past 3 years. Lloyd is in his 14th year as an educator. He began his educational career in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD as a teacher at Hamilton and Arnold Middle Schools. He also worked as a campus content instructional specialist at Libi School and then accepted the role of assistant principal at Cypress Park High School, where he was part of the inaugural staff and assisted in opening the campus. He then transitioned to his current position as principal at Aragon. Lloyd received his bachelor's and master's degree from Prairie View University. During his 14-year career, Lloyd has received extensive training in a variety of programs, including instructional strategies, classroom management, and leadership training. Lloyd and his wife, Leslie, who is a counselor at McPhee Elementary, have one child, who you see right now, Lori Grace, and has been sitting on Miss Collinson's lap. She is 4 years old. Lori Grace will attend school in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD next year. Lloyd is the oldest of 6, was the first in his family to graduate from college, and since then, all of his younger siblings have followed in his footsteps. Outside of work, Lloyd enjoys spending time with family, home projects, working out, trying new eateries, and spending time by the pool. Please join me in congratulating Lloyd Turner on his new leadership opportunity.
President Scott Henry, Board of Trustees, Dr. Henry, it is an honor to serve as principal in any school in Cy-Fair ISD, and I've been blessed to be principal at Aragon Middle School for the past 3 years, and incredibly blessed to now be named principal of Cypress Woods High School. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to building on the rich traditions and legacy of Cypress Woods. I know that I'm standing on the shoulders of amazing leaders in Sue McGowan and Gary Kenninger, and I'm just blessed to be able to be a part of something so special. I'm blessed to have with me my family, as you mentioned, my wife Leslie, counselor at McPhee Elementary, and Lori Grace, who has found a new best friend, along with my Aragon Wildcat family who's here. Thank you for being here tonight. And Cypress Woods, my new family, thank you guys for being here tonight also. I'm also joined with other colleagues, mentors, and friends who are here, and I just appreciate all the support that I've received in my 14 years in Cy-Fair. Dr. Henry, I just want to, on a personal note, just say thank you for investing in me and my leadership and providing these opportunities for me here in Cy-Fair. So once again, President Scott Henry, Board of Trustees, Dr. Henry, thank you so much.
Love you, Daddy.
So if I could get the board to come down front, we'll take some pictures. And while we're doing that, we'll take a 5 to 10 minute recess. So if you'd like to stay for the rest of the board meeting, you're welcome to. If not, you may leave. Thank you. We will now proceed with board comments. Board members may make comments during this portion regarding schools visited, meetings, conferences attended, and district events. This board may take actions on any items discussed. Board members, we will change this up a little bit. You are not required to make any board speeches, so I'll just turn the right and left. You're welcome to make a comment if you like. If you don't, we will just keep going. With that in mind, Natalie, I'll start with you. Start to the left. Go that way.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to our hardworking teachers, leaders, and staff across the district for your role in building rigor, relevance, and relationships and excellence in our classrooms, our buildings, our plants, and on our grounds every day. We appreciate you. I want to say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays to each of you. Muchas gracias a todo el personal del distrito. Gracias por su papel en que sirva a los alumnos y sus familias en nuestro distrito. Sirven con excelencia cada día. Feliz Navidad o feliz días festivas a cada miembro de nuestra comunidad. Dr. Mark Henry, I get to talk to him so close now. I used to be way down there. Dr. Mark Henry, thank you for your 12 years of dedicated, humble, and God-honoring service to our district and to the community of Cyfair ISD. It is the finest district around, and that's bar none. You've made an impact on hundreds of thousands of lives, shepherding the actual K through 12th grade school career for a generation of kids to dream, as someone put out earlier, to help them to dream, to develop, and to succeed. I appreciate your hard work and your service to all the students and for giving them opportunity and creating excellence for them. It's been an honor to serve with you. I welcome our new colleagues to the board. Oops. Oh, goodness, where my note went. Whew, okay, it's back. To my new colleagues, I welcome you to the board. I look forward to serving with each of you as we continue to do the work of making CFISD the very best choice for every student, every family, job applicant, taxpayer, and every community member. I'm excited for us to all continue to focus on student outcomes as a team, capturing the vision and values of our community and translating these into goals and guardrails for a new superintendent and the administrative team for them to implement. I'm confident we can continue setting the right policies, budget, other conditions necessary to ensure that our young people, all our young people, develop the academic, leadership, and personal skills necessary for success in college, career, the military, and life. These include basic skills: reading, writing, math, listening, and speaking. Thinking skills, creative thinking, decision-making, problem-solving, seeing things in the mind's eye, knowing how to learn and reasoning. And also those personal qualities that our Portrait of a Graduate Committee defined and refined earlier this year: curiosity, integrity, resilience, empathy, and communication. I'm excited to work on those, and I'm pleased tonight to cast my vote for the policy revision establishing board committees. I look forward to the opportunity to work actively and to propel our new administration as we dig into the data and supporting details to sufficiently cast a vision and align the resources for the next 12 years of growth and excellence in Cyfair. Per Texas Education Code, it is the role of trustees. I run around with a little TEC copy all the time, and sometimes I just want to make sure I always go back to the founding documents. What is it that we're here to do as a board? And our job as the board, as a body corporate, is to oversee the management of the district and ensure that the superintendent implements and monitors plans, procedures, programs, and systems to achieve appropriate, clearly defined, and desired results in the major areas of district operations. And so I seek to really make sure we can really work actively as we welcome a new colleague on board committees in order to make sure that we are doing that, what we call it to do, for all kids in Cyfair. Thank you for the privilege of serving you on the Board of Trustees. I wish best wishes to each of you and your families at this most wonderful time of the year. Gracias por el privilegio de servir a nuestra comunidad en su junta directiva. Feliz Navidad a todos durante esta época tan hermosa. Thank you.
Justin, would you like to go next?
I would like to go next. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll try to keep my comments short this evening, because this is my first opportunity to address the board and address the community from the dais. And I just want to start off by saying that I'm honored to be seated here this evening as your trustee, and I'm grateful to my colleagues for their vote of confidence to serve as a board officer. Furthermore, I want to thank the voters of CFISD for entrusting me with this office. We're rolling out of a high-profile and hard-fought campaign, and so I see the next several years as an opportunity to build unity in the Cyfair community. We can build unity and consensus with a student-focused, parent-focused, and teacher-focused agenda. So the needs of all of these groups can be addressed concurrently as they share the same common goal for our district, and that is educating our kids to be successful as possible in an increasingly competitive 21st century workforce. I want our school district to serve as a model for the rest of the nation. I want us to grow our already sterling reputation. I want to tackle the issues on the minds of parents and teachers, and I want to remain the place to live and to work. So with that, as if it hasn't been heard quite a few times tonight, I want to extend my sincere well wishes to Dr. Henry, and I want to thank him for his service. I wish you a great and wonderful retirement, something we can all aspire to someday. One of the things I noticed, I don't know if everybody else noticed as well during that slideshow, everybody in those pictures were genuinely smiling. And that is a testament to the positive atmosphere that Dr. Henry always brought when you engaged with him. And it was evident in that video footage. And so thank you very much for your service, sir. And I'm so grateful for all the comments this evening and all the people who attended. It was a testament to your service and the positive impact you had on this district. I, of course, want to welcome our new superintendent, Dr. Doug Killian. We have work to do. I look forward to working with him. Chris used a term tonight that I'm going to steal and use a lot, which is all in all the time. That's how I plan to conduct myself as your board trustee. That's what I expect from my colleagues. That's what I expect from our new superintendent, because we're here to serve you, and we plan to be all in all the time. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance this evening. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I look forward to seeing everybody next year. Thank you.
To my left, anyone?
Okay. Since the last meeting, I've continued to be so proud of all the amazing things happening around CFISD. So here are some things that I personally experienced over the last month. Hemingway Elementary hosted a multicultural celebration with so many parents and families participating and sharing the unique cultures that attend that school. Assisted with caring for the garden at the Cy Park High School with the Tiger Garden Club. Visited with the Superintendent Student Leadership Advisory Council, which I hope will and assume it will continue moving forward. And was also a guest judge for the Christmas tree contest between employee groups at the Berry Center. If you haven't stopped by to see those trees, go check them out. They are amazing. Cy Ridge hosted a Vertical Horizons showcase, and this is in which the elementary schools and the middle schools that feed into Cy Ridge bring their gifted and talented projects, and they share them together in the cafeteria of Cy Ridge High School. And so it's a great way for students from kindergarten through 12th grade to be able to share some of the unique projects that they work on. The schools that participated were Kirk, Holbrook, Lee, Franconia, Wilburn, Campbell, Truett, and of course Cy Ridge, which hosted. I also attended Grandparents' Day, even though I'm not a grandparent, but I was invited to help celebrate Grandparents' Day with the grandmas and grandpas at Lambkin Elementary, which was super fun. I'll skip a couple of those. Oh, the Cypher ISD Mental Health Resource Fair was held at the Berry Center, and it brought together, and I know, Christine, you attended as well, over 80 service providers in the community to share resources with parents and staff members. And this is so important that our parents and families and staff are aware of all the various providers and resources that are available in our community. So I'm grateful for Cypher ISD Psychological Services and our police department and our mental health intervention team for hosting that really important event at the Berry Center. It was also great to see students participating in that event. There were students from Cy Park, from Cy Lakes, Langham was there, and Cy Springs, yes. Their mental health alliance groups, cosmetology, culinary arts. It was just fantastic to see the students engaged in that way. I also attended Leadership Day at Leader Elementary. Leader Elementary is the only Lighthouse campus in Cypher ISD. It's a unique program through the Leader in Me program, started by Franklin Covey. So I encourage you to learn more about that program. It's fantastic, and it's developing our students to be future leaders. I went to a lot of basketball games at the Cy Hoops tournament. It was a fantastic event, raising funds for scholarships through the Cy Fair Education Foundation. And then last night was a beautiful performance in the VPAC, the Visual and Performing Arts Center next door, with the Bridgeland Symphony Orchestra preparing to go and compete in Chicago. So it's incredible to see these first-class students perform in this first-class facility and to know that they will be representing Cypher ISD at the national level. This morning I was a judge for Shark Tank at Bridgeland High School for the English 3 dual credit students. And of course, weekly mentoring at Cy Falls and Cy Park. So those are those comments. I just have a few words for Dr. Henry. Dr. Henry, thank you for your 12 years of service to the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD and to our community. Over the past 12 years, you have led this district through significant growth, resulting in new schools and support facilities, as well as a focus on asset protection by investing in older campuses to ensure that all students have access to excellent educational facilities and technology. You created a motto of opportunity for all to ensure that all students have access to resources needed and that barriers are removed so that all students can reach their full potential. You maintained a focus on the main thing, academic achievement, while also focusing on fine arts, athletics, and career and technical education. All students need to feel seen and that they belong. Extracurricular and co-curricular activities give kids the opportunity to connect and have that sense of belonging. You created the Cypher ISD Police Department to ensure our students, staff, and facilities are protected. You supported the creation of the Mental Health Intervention Team so that multiple departments work together to provide quick response to campuses when students are in crisis. You've built a positive reputation in our community for being accessible, reliable, and focused on building positive relationships. Your service and commitment to the Cypher Houston Chamber of Commerce, Cypher Education Foundation, and to so many in the business community and in the faith-based community, that reflects the important connections between a local public school district and all within our boundaries. You're leaving a legacy of excellence. You are much loved by all, including students, especially band students. That was already in there, and they showed you that. You have served with honor, integrity, humor, and compassion. Thank you, Dr. Henry, and best wishes in your new endeavors. I'm grateful that you and your family will continue to be actively involved in Cypher ISD. We love you back.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Christine.
Our board work meeting was last Thursday, and I wanted to remember and honor the 2,403 lives lost 82 years ago on December 7th, 1941 at Pearl Harbor Naval Base. The attack on America was horrible, and we know our country is still impacted today by the service members and the civilians lost. God bless all the families that were affected. Dr. Henry, fellow board members, faculty, staff, and families in Cypher, I'm so honored to be serving as a CFISD board trustee in position 4. I wanted to thank my Lord Jesus Christ, my husband, family, friends, neighbors, and supporters. I so appreciate all of you. I also wanted to thank Dr. Henry for his service. He has quite the sense of humor, which is very needed as a superintendent in the district. And it's true, Dr. Killian has big shoes to fill. And so we want to thank you for your service, the blessings that you've given to the students in the district, and the teachers. As everybody spoke tonight, it was really neat to hear some of the schools that I've been attached to, Cy Falls, Langham Creek, Cy Springs, to know firsthand that the schools recognize the relationship that they have with you. Also, you will see that I'm not quite the style maven that Mrs. Debbie Blackshear is. And I do know that we both share a deep love for our community and we passionately care about it. I'm looking forward to serving our community and also welcoming Dr. Killian next month as we become a new team of 8. I am excited about the possibilities of continuing the legacy to make Cypher the best that it can be. In order for our district to excel, it will take lots of listening, humility, grace, wisdom, prayer, and discernment by the board, the superintendent, the administration, faculty, and staff, our transportation, our maintenance and custodial services, our police force, and ultimately our community. To our students and parents, teachers, administration, and all of those that I just mentioned, as well as businesses, nonprofits, and our faith organizations, please know that you are welcome and appreciated here in our district, and each of you has a crucial role to play in the molding and shaping of our children. In Philippians 2:4, it says, everyone should not look out only for his own interest, but the interest of others. I will work hard and serve Cypher with an humble heart. In this Advent season, people are kinder and more compassionate. Let us shine that in Cypher now and always. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays to all.
And to my right.
Got a history lesson tonight. I didn't know you had hair. That's pretty cool. First off, I would like to thank Dr. Henry for his service, this 12 years of service to the Cypher community. I believe it's 42 years in education, and that's quite an accomplishment. I'm sure you will stay busy with the grandkids for the foreseeable future, but if one day you get bored, let me know. I'm not much of a jogger, but I will let you buy me a round of golf. Mark, I wish you a healthy and happy retirement. To our students, teachers, and staff, I have noticed the emphasis on attendance this semester and am very proud to see the positive results. Complacency is the enemy of success. Each day you have a choice to make. You can choose to get better, you can choose to get worse. There is nothing in between. So choose to get better. I encourage everyone to finish this semester strong and to run through the finish line. To the entire Cy-Fair community, have a safe and happy holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Lucas?
It's been said many times tonight, Dr. Henry, that you used to have hair. But sincerely, it's been an honor to serve with you on the board, and we've had lots of discussions. And through them, you have demonstrated insight into what really is important inside the district and helped guide us when we didn't understand, and shown us new things to see and new perspectives to look through, and I appreciate that about you. Thank you, sir. Your leadership for the community has been felt, and I look forward to continuing that tradition with striving towards excellence every day. Over the last few weeks, I've had the distinct honor of being able to attend some of our schools, and so just to mention a few instances, I was able to go to Cy Ridge and view their economics fair, and so I noticed that Dr. Lozano has wisely left the room, so I won't embarrass him again, but he did introduce me to, I asked him to bring me out when he wanted me to see something, and so he asked me to come out to the economics fair, and when I did, this was their senior year students, one semester they're in economics, the next semester they're in government, and they change. And one of the things that his school has done before he showed up, and continues to this day, is that they will create a product, and they will sell a product. And so here you have an event where all the students that are in the school will create something to sell to one another during lunch. So it always revolves around mostly food and or crafts. And so Dr. Lozano and I walked around the cafeteria and we saw a whole host of different perspectives on cultural foods, things and artifacts that kids wanted to create and sell to one another. And so we had a chance to go buy things from kids. It was awesome. And so I racked up. I bought a lot of stuff for my daughter, and it was just great. And so while I was doing it, Dr. Lozano made sure to introduce to me some of the programs that were special inside of Cy Ridge. And so some of those programs, and I'll mention a couple, they did incredible work. So the student advocate, he said, here's one of our coaches, and this coach's job part-time is to coach, but part of his job, half-time, is to go and work with our students that need a little bit of extra help, and meet with their families and communicate with them about opportunities and provide effectively life coaching. And so I asked Dr. Lozano to please bring that coach here. Please bring that team here so we can see them and hear them and the community can get to know these programs that are so special. And then I had the opportunity to go, and as we continue to walk around the different booths, one of them was, we had 2 booths by students who were deaf. And so I had an opportunity to buy things from students that could not hear, and I understood and learned about a program that we have in which students that are from the area, and it is the Northwest Harris County Cooperative for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, students from Cy-Fair, if I'm not mistaken, Waller, as well as Klein, from the area, come to our school, specifically Cy Ridge, and we do something that is unique really in the nation, where all the teachers that teach are dual certified, both in their area of instruction, but also in sign. And so here I was able to purchase, communicating through a teacher who was signing for me, purchase from these beautiful students their artifacts. And it was humbling. And so it's an example where there was no requirement for those teachers to be dual certified, but they chose to do it. They chose to do it because it was the right thing to do, and it's what our kids needed. And that heart is what I want our community to see. So I also asked Dr. Lozano, please bring this community forward. Let us see them in the spring. So we'll hear about those programs in the spring, but I want to make sure as we go forward that, in our meetings that we're focusing on student learning outcomes, but we're also hearing about some of these special programs that our teachers and our community needs to hear. And it's happening all the time, but many people just don't know it because there's so much of it. So I look forward to those presentations. Thank you, Teresa, for working with Dr. Lozano to bring those forward. Other opportunities, yesterday Julie and I were at the Visual and Performing Arts Center, and we saw the Bridgeland High School and orchestra perform, and so that was a wonderful event. I also had the chance to, went to Cy Hoops, and I don't think I saw quite as much basketball as you did, Julie. I stayed for a lot, but wow. I mean, I just got tired watching those guys. And then on the 18th, just to make sure, in case you're not aware, on the 18th, we'll have the Cy Woods Orchestra, choir, and band perform holiday concert in our VPAC at 7 p.m. So I invite our entire community to come out. It's going to be wonderful. And Principal Turner, I know that we'll see you there, and I look forward to that event. So thank you. I'm always humbled every time I come out to the district and meet the different programs. It's so important that we hear and we learn. So thank you for allowing me on your campuses and helping us to understand how we can do our job better. Thank you.
I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Holly and to Nina as well for their unwavering support of this board. Their contributions are consistently made in the background. We never get to see typically what happens, but your commitment does not go unnoticed. And I would like to convey my sincere thanks on behalf of this board. I'd like to also welcome to our new trustees. Congratulations on your newly elected trustees, and also Julie on her success. As a cohesive team of 8, we are poised to achieve remarkable achievements for the students of Cy-Fair, our dedicated educators, parents, and taxpayers. To Mark, I know we've talked about you so much, probably getting a big head, but as you're riding off in the sunset of retirement, I have to admit we're all a little jealous. I mean, the only retirement plan I have involves either winning the lottery or maybe some unfound secret I don't have yet, but I haven't done that yet. But may your retirement be filled with joy of accomplishments, warmth of cherished memories, and the excitement of new adventures. To everyone else, I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful time off during the holidays. We will now proceed to action items. Actions on items 4A, 4B, 4C were at the Thursday board session. Actions 4D, 4G, and 4J through 4M were moved to consensus at the board work session. 4D was on the special called meeting. 4E was on the minutes of the November 8th meeting. 4F was on approving the minutes of the November 13th regular board meeting. 4G was the approving the minutes of the November 18th meeting, special called meeting. 4J was the board considering approving the first readings of revisions and deletions to district policies, which was 4J1 CFB, accounting inventories revised. 4K, the board will consider improving the construction projects paid for bond funds, recommended contracts, authorize the superintendent designate on the following documents. 4K1, 2023 Cy Springs High School renovation. 4K2, 2023 post elementary school renovation. 4L, the board will consider approving the attached facilities for off-campus physical education category 1 for a spring semester of 2023-24 school year. And then 4M, the board will consider approving the superintendent to execute a memorandum of understanding for the Eastern New Mexico University Speech and Hearing Rehabilitation Outreach Center for Speech Pathology Field Placement. So those are all the consensus items. If any board member wishes to remove one or more of these items for discussion, please do it at this time. Hearing none, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the consistent items as recommended or amended.
So moved. Mr. President, I move to approve the consent items.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. We'll now ask for a vote. All those in favor of the non-consistent items, please vote by raising your right hand. It appears to be unanimous, Holly. 4H. The board will consider taking action on a resolution casting a ballot for its choice for nominee to serve on the board of directors for the Harris County District Appraisal District. Excuse me, the Central Appraisal District. Say it 5 times fast. There are no speakers this evening. May I have a motion, please?
President Henry, I move that we approve and vote upon item 4H.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
I have a second. Are there any questions on this first?
Yes.
This is 4H.
Yes, but which candidate are we writing into the
I'd like to,
resolution?
yeah,
I'm sorry. I thought it was in the meeting notes. Let's go to the 4H.
there are two candidates.
There are two choices.
Mr. President, I'd like to advocate for Martina Lamont Dixon. She serves as a trustee in the Humboldt ISD School District. Some of the work that I really respect that they've done in that system is really looking at student outcomes, creating a reading dashboard, really looking to move the work forward. She definitely understands the impact of the work of the appraisal district on how that impacts school districts and their funding. I think she'd be an excellent advocate for us at that post.
My apologies, Board. I didn't realize there were two in there when I read it first. So we have Bruce Austin and Martina Lamont Dixon.
Mr. President, the motion on the floor is to nominate Martina Lamont Dixon for our Harris County Appraisal District representative. I second that motion. I know Martina Dixon as well. I know that she's been board president of Humboldt School District. She's done a very good job and has acquitted herself very well, and I think she will represent our interest well on the Harris County Appraisal District. So I will second the motion to nominate Martina Lamont Dixon as our representative.
Any other questions? Good? Good down there?
I don't have a question. I do have a comment. I just also wanted to express my support for Martina Lamont Dixon.
Very good. Hearing no more questions, we have a motion and we have a second. We'll now take a vote for the nomination for Martina Lamont Dixon to serve on the Board of Directors of the Harris County Central Appraisal District. Can I please get you to raise your right hand if you vote yeah, in affirmative? Looks like it's 7-0. Thank you, Board. The Board now consider approving on dual reading revisions and deletions for BDB, which was the Board Internal Organization, Internal Committees. I believe we discussed this on Thursday night. Let's first get a motion, and then we can have any discussions if we have follow-up questions. May I first get a motion, please, to approve this?
President Henry, I motion that we review and approve the special committee's local BDB.
Great, I have a motion now. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
We have a second there. Now, are there any questions on this? No questions? Okay, we'll now take a vote. This is for BDB local. All in favor, raise your right hand, please. Looks like we have 7-0 again. 4N, the board will consider making a determination that good cause does not exist as required by law for the following individuals that are listed in the board agenda. This item was discussed in closed session on board work session on Thursday pursuant to section 551.074. Since we've already discussed this, may I get a motion, please, to approve 4N?
So moved.
May I get a second, please?
Second.
Here in a second, are there any questions on this? Seeing no questions, we'll now take a vote. Please signify by raising your right hand, please. Okay, that is approved. The following 4O, the board will take action on independent hearing examiner's TE docket as reviewed here for the individual listed. The presenters are David Hodges from Thompson Horton. Then 4P will consider a level 4 grievance appeal of a level 3 decision. These both will be in closed session. Excuse me, one will be in closed session, and 4P, I'm sorry, yeah, 4P will be in open session. Is that correct? Reverse. 4O will be in open session, and 4P will be in closed session. We'll keep moving on. And by the way, for our citizens out there, we are going to be moving up our citizen participation. We've had some other board members that would like to move this to the earlier. We'll be changing the position of public comments for non-agenda comments to an earlier time in the agenda. This will allow our patrons for any non-agenda comments earlier in the meeting in case it runs long. That way you don't have to be here as long. Just to remind our school board trustees that according to TEA, May a school member or individual trustee comment on a subject that comes up during an open forum during a public comment period. And from TEA Legal, Section 551.042 of the Texas Education Code, it limits our ability to deal with subject matters not posted in discussion. So in this case, the board can only respond to factual inquiries and discussions put in the subject agenda. Just want to caution you, we cannot discuss anything discussed that's not on the agenda on here. Just remind you that. So now we'll move on to citizen participation per BED local. We address the board during regular board members of any matters of interest that are not posted on agenda items. You may register to speak at one time per meeting in advance. Just a reminder to our patrons this evening, you'll see the names listed on the screen behind me. Please say your name, please move forward and sit on the 2 reserved seats. Our first speaker is Isabel Brodsky.
Good evening. The District of Innovation comes with several possible advantages, but raises more concerns among parents, teachers, and admin. Several key worries are its authority to remove campus visitors, parents' rights, and bypass the need to inform parents. For example, in cases like employing non-certified teachers, while the TEA mandates notifying parents of non-certified teachers, the current DOI proposal lacks this provision, leaving parents unaware. To ensure transparency and safeguard parental engagement, the DOI plan must guarantee and provide a detailed explanation how CFISD will ensure keeping parents informed on each exemption. The current proposal is lacking this key component. Discussions with principals and teachers regarding changes in the school year calendar revealed confusion due to the vague nature of the current proposal. Some teachers are advocating for an early August start and finish before Memorial Weekend, while other teachers prefer to add professional days throughout the year to get caught up with backlog and concluding after Memorial Day, leaving complete confusion and disagreement. Following discussions with several board members, I learned that exempting from TEA's calendar requirements doesn't automatically ensure this. Teachers and admin might support the concept, only to find themselves surprised by a calendar that does not align with their preferences. I urge careful review and consideration, preserve parental rights, equip your admin and teachers with accurate resources to comprehend what they're endorsing, and prioritize transparency throughout the process. Please be the Cy-Fair board we all need and we want. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Collier.
Good evening. Congratulations, new board members, and thank you to the existing board and Dr. Henry for your service to our community. I understand in January there is to be an upcoming vote to approve becoming a District of Innovation. While I can certainly understand and appreciate the endeavor, the timing of January does seem a little rushed in my opinion. I can only relate this back to my own experience when I was elected to my neighborhood HOA. There was certainly a seasoning period that helped me become more effective. Getting up to speed on how the operation functions, understanding all the applicable laws, and learning about all the incredible complexity of the issues at hand takes time. The decisions before you are hard. The easy ones have all been solved. It would seem prudent to give this decision some time to allow all new board members so they can have the same knowledge as the incumbents. In my opinion, patience is not a bad thing if properly applied. When the time is right, I do believe you will all vote for becoming a District of Innovation. I can understand how a governing body would like more direct control over its operations. I've read through the 4 initial innovations proposed. Clearly, a lot of work has gone into these proposals, and I appreciate all the people who volunteered their time to draft them. But I would be remiss if I did not point out that the devil is in the details. What I found lacking was the why. Why do you want the ability to potentially hire teachers without certifications? Why do you want to potentially bypass the TEA to hire teachers that don't carry a Texas certification? Are there not enough qualified teachers in Texas? Are there other districts like Katy that may be able to hire teachers faster than CFISD, so it makes us less competitive? I'm sure there are good reasons. It just isn't clear what the reasons are. Goal 4, communications and community relations, stressed a culture of trust. I would ask that you revise the proposed document and include the why so parents can understand why these changes are necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jeremy Knock.
Good evening. Today, my aim is to shed light on the significant risks associated with the DOI, particularly concerning students and parents. There seems to be discord among teachers and administrators regarding the creation of a calendar that suits their needs, while parents struggle to grasp the potential removal of parental rights within this framework. With the new board members taking office on December 7th, alongside a new superintendent beginning in the new year, I'm eager to witness your ability to foster a united community within the district, one that embraces programs aimed at addressing the concerns of teachers, administration, and parents that persisted within the previous CFISD administration. During the November 5th board meeting, Scott Henry highlighted the significance of communication and the value of raising concerns. He emphasized that presenting these issues equips the board to engage legislators and advocate for new legislation, an essential tool at our disposal. Upon delving deeper into the District of Innovation, I realized that any proposal formulated and sanctioned by the board can be revised and rewritten at will. This perpetual ability to modify regulations within the district and schools might result in a chaotic learning environment for our children, your students. You're taking a risk by opening Pandora's box for a few days in August or May, and I hope you question considering the District of Innovation. Please explore alternative avenues before making this decision that impacts your students, parents, teachers, and administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bob Covey.
Mr. President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Henry. Yeah, it's me again. I would like to visit with you a little bit about TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards. I know that there is some negativity on what TASB does, especially for a district like Cy-Fair. Just to share some of what I have experienced is that TASB was formed to support school districts in Texas. They do that by offering a number of support services such as Board Book, which I believe y'all are using right now, Buy Board, which gives the district a chance to be able to buy at a lesser amount, HR consulting services, HR services subscription, legal services, policy online software, policy updates, and under the Risk Management Fund, automobile liability, school liability including professional, legal, general, and employee benefits, privacy and information security, violence acts coverage, workers' compensation administration services, and professional development. The professional development is a summer leadership, and that is where board members come together either in San Antonio or in Fort Worth, and they learn and are basically you hear what is really working in other districts that you can bring back to our district and or we present at those districts. It is not an indoctrination, which is what I was told by the Republican Party. And I am a 50-year Republican. I've got my card in my billfold, but I don't disagree. I do disagree with them. I will tell you that our 2023 membership dues in Cy-Fair was $11,000. And yet we received a rebate check for almost $180,000. Interesting that there is a negativity about this situation. And I've got to tell you, I have worked, my time expired. Crap. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to say that. Anyway,
Bob, please.
As a last note, TASB is not part of NSBA and hasn't been for the past 2 years. We didn't believe in what happened. We didn't support it. I want you to know that there is I'm going over my time, I'm sorry. If you look at Lamar ISD about a year ago, they did a research and they had board members, much like the new board members here, who didn't think TASB was servicing anything. And what they found out was if they went away from TASB and did something on their own, it was going to cost them millions of dollars, and they decided to go back with TASB. Please consider that and stay with them. Thank you.
Julie Ricks.
I just want to say congratulations to all the new board members and the incumbent, Ms. Heineman. And may the entire board and new superintendent be blessed and be a blessing in Jesus' name. My question is, why have we pushed forward on the District of Innovation plan and totally ignored Texas School Chaplain Act? School boards must vote for this position by March 1st, 24. Repeat, school boards must vote for the Texas School Chaplain Act by March 1st, 24. Senate Bill 763 passed 84 to 60 by the Texas legislature May of 23. It allows Texas schools to use safety funds to pay for unlicensed chaplains to work in mental health roles. The bill was delayed because the Texas House members sought an amendment that would have required chaplains to have accreditation as chaplains who work in prisons or U.S. military. The amendment was defeated. Conservative Christians argue that religious chaplains could help prevent school shootings, drug use, suicide, and other societal ills by returning God to the classrooms. I personally absolutely agree. Why would we look for a solution like District of Innovation, etc., from the ones who created the problems? Representative Cole Hefner, who authored the House version of the bill, said in the debates that local school boards, that's y'all, will be allowed to set requirements for chaplains. They can put whatever rules and regulation in place they see fit. Please make an agenda item for the chaplain position. We have seen the devastating results of without God. With God is the good and right choice. And I wanted to say Merry Christmas. And I have copies because there's some more information on how to, for everybody.
Thank you. Dave Mann, did I pronounce that right? Sorry.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again. I come before you this evening speaking in opposition to hiring religious chaplains to work in our secular public schools. Chaplains are unnecessary in schools. Chaplains are for people like soldiers on deployment or inmates in prisons who do not have access to standard corporate worship. School children are not deployed, nor are they prisoners. They can just go to church on Sunday. They don't need chaplains. Real chaplains are educated, trained, and certified, usually ordained. SB 763 has no such requirements. That's a problem. Chaplains are not a sufficient replacement for either mental health counselors or guidance counselors. They are not educated, trained, or certified to do either. And since they are neither mental health professionals nor security or law enforcement professionals using our district's limited safety funding, as per SB 763, would be highly inappropriate and a gross misuse of taxpayer dollars. Having religious chaplains in our secular schools would be a violation of our children's religious freedom. Every child has the right to receive their education in an environment free from intimidation and coercion, including religious coercion. Finally, it would be a violation of parental rights. My child's religious education and spiritual formation is my responsibility, and it is solely within my rights to direct it. Not yours, not the principals, not chaplains. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is to consider recommendation of the independent hearing examiner for the proposed termination of proceeding of the individual listed in the agenda. The board is authorized to consider this matter in closed session pursuant to 551.071 Texas Government Code for the purpose of receiving legal advice. The remainder of procedure, once that is done, will be an open session at Ms. Graves' request. I would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. We will come back into open session. However, I'd like to thank you for those watching from home as well. At this time, can I get a motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please, begin by raising your right hand. We are now going to closed session. Thank you. rejection, or revision of the independent hearing examiner's recommendation. Now you can hear me. In accordance with DFD local, each party is limited to 10 minutes for oral argument. Will the parties and participants please introduce yourself?
Chris Tredico for Ms. Graves.
And I'm David Hodgins on behalf of the Cypher ISD administration. Also with me, Mr. President, board members, is our Tips Elementary School principal, Ms. Felicia Thomas, and my associate, Arlene Gonzalez. Thank you.
Thank you. The administration will go first and present its arguments regarding the independent hearing administrator's recommendation. The administration will be given a total of 10 minutes to present the complaint. Ms. Graves will then be provided 10 minutes to make her arguments regarding the hearing examiner's recommendation. Each party may elect to use their entire 10 minutes for the argument, or you may elect to reserve your time for rebuttal. Please advise the timekeeper prior to your beginning if you want to reserve any time for that rebuttal. Justin Ray, our board secretary, will be the official timekeeper. When the time goes off, you may then complete the statement you're making, but I will expect each party to quickly conclude when the time has expired. Upon conclusion of the 2 10-minute intervals rebuttals, if any board member may ask questions of Ms. Graves and/or the administration. At the conclusion of the questions, each party will be given 2 minutes for closing remarks. After closing remarks, the parties will be excused and the board will deliberate in closed session without the presence of Ms. Graves and administration. As the board president, I'll preside over this hearing. If there are any objections to address the board, please address them to me for my decision. I'll consult with Mr. Gunter as necessary, and I'll recognize board members who wish to ask questions. Are there any questions or preliminary matters that need to be disposed of?
None for the administration.
If not, hearing this will begin administration's portion of the board. Mr. Hodges, I call on you to begin. 10 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal. So we'll try to do 8. Board members, good evening. Again, I'm David Hodgins here on behalf of the administration. We come before you tonight for the consideration of the adoption of the proposed decision in the matter of Nicole Graves' termination hearing. Just as quick background, the Board of Trustees heard from Dr. Henry back on June of 2023, who came before the board recommending the termination of Ms. Nicole Graves' employment contract. She served as a 4th grade teacher at Tips Elementary. There were 3 key grounds that were presented by the superintendent for consideration for the board that would constitute good cause for termination. One was failure to follow directives. The second was violation of the DH board policy adopted by the board related to professional conduct. And the third ground, any which independent could serve as grounds for termination, was related to violations of ethical standards, in particular standard 1.9 of not threatening violence to a fellow employee, which unfortunately happened in this case. So that was considered by the board, adopted with a 7-0 vote for the proposed termination. And the process, as I think perhaps Mr. Gunter shared with you, is a hearing is then held if requested by the employee, which was done here. And there's a full evidentiary hearing, testimony and rulings, and then a determination. And that's what's before you tonight for consideration, for adoption, is the 24-page findings of fact, conclusions of law by the hearing examiner. And each ground was supported for termination. What you have, unfortunately, as background in this circumstance is you have an employee that has ability to do good things generally in the classroom structure, but also has a responsibility to follow directives and not violate policy. And directives were given early on in the form of the handbook that's given, everything related to lesson plans, inappropriate interactions with other staff, and regretfully, those were violated multiple times. Let me turn you to the decision. I believe you have a copy of this before you. If you would turn to the first ground, the conclusion on page 23 of the decision. The numbers down at the bottom, 1 of 24, this would be 23 of 24. Board members, it's conclusion of law 16. It addresses the issue of failure to comply with directives. It states, respondent, which is Ms. Graves in this context, repeatedly failed to follow numerous administrative directives, including directives to submit lesson plans, attend required meetings, consistently be present in her classroom, consistently supervise students, refrain from interfering with matters concerning her child during work hours, and attend legally required CPI training. All of those were issues and failures in this case. Just take the lesson plans as an illustration. Another finding on page 10 and 11, the evidence demonstrate that this teacher, this fourth grade teacher, did not submit, on finding of fact 29, didn't submit lesson plans for 16 out of 36 weeks. 16, unlike any other teacher on the campus. Almost 47% of the obligation to each Monday to have your plans ready to go that matches with the TEKS. So if we get audited, first of all, that the education goes forward as designed, or if TA comes in and says, where are they? And they're not there, creating issues. That even though she got reminders, even though she was directed to do so, she continued to fail to do so throughout the year. Then there were issues of attendance to meetings when she'd be asked to come and she'd decide, well, I don't want to come. I don't want to come now. I don't have to come now. An array of just sort of obstinate, very disappointing actions that the principal and staff worked with, gave emails, gave memorandum, gave directive, have conferences, had meetings to try to improve the performance, and the performance did not improve. And then regretfully, that led to even more issues of responding to meetings in anger, taking off her badge and throwing it on the table, I'm Nicole, and other type situations that would not meet the professional standards of this school district. And then even more regretfully, that ended up in a significant incident that happened in May, on May 12th. And that leads us to the other two grounds that I want to turn you to. So let me just pause though on this one, the failure to follow directives. Again, still on page 23, the conclusion was that failure was there, and the judge determined in conclusion of law 21 that the actions violated the terms of her contract to comply with all directives, state laws, district policy, etc. And then 22, evidence was sufficient to support good cause on that ground. If you go to item 4, let me shift to the next, which is the violations of board policy. Please turn to conclusion of law 14. 14, conclusion of law 14. There it's also found that she violated board policy related to appropriate interactions with personnel, a finding of fact where she did not display professional decorum, and ultimately, unfortunately, there was a circumstance of board members that resulted in her threatening the principal to fight in the hallway. She is a mother that does have a student with a disability that was served on the campus. The student had behavioral issues. She would constantly intervene, and sometimes multiple times inappropriately, even directed, no, let the behavior team handle the situation. Let the behavior team do so. She would refuse to do so and intervene. She'd leave her class. She'd allow the student to come to the class when he wasn't supposed to, an array of circumstances. And when the student eloped one time on May 12th and came down the hallway and the administrative behavior team was called and Principal Thomas showed up to assist, went down the hall to get the student, grabbed him by his hand, was returning him. He was crying, trying to get to his mom's classroom. She comes out of her classroom, not attending her classroom as she's required by her directive to do so, and then tries to grab her son from the principal. The principal directs her, return to your class, Miss Graves, we've got this. She refuses, and she threatens her. She says, I'll fight you if I have to. She basically tells her, I'll just have a fight and beat on you right now in the hallway if you don't release my son. Now, the son had issues, and in fact, she's brought other claims related to those issues. There's a whole separate proceeding of that. And they tried to enter all of that sort of information and evidence, and the judge properly ruled it wasn't relevant to what is before this board, which is the determination of whether her misconduct constituted good cause. And the findings throughout is that the answer to that is yes. that those actions violated the standards of this school district in DH, violated that ethical requirement. That's what the good cause determinations were on all grounds.
Pardon me.
And considering. And so
You've
my
reached the
time's
time of
up.
2
We
minutes.
recommend you adopt as presented. Thank you, Mr. President and board members.
As a point of clarification, Mr. Hodgins, we left you 2 minutes for rebuttal left, as per your request.
Thank you, Trustee Ray.
Thank you very much. Mr. Draco, make your presentation on behalf of Ms. Graves.
Thank you very much, and thank you for hearing us tonight. I've been the general counsel for the union in this district for 30 years, and this is the first time in 30 years I've had the privilege of representing a teacher at a termination hearing in this district. I've handled matters for teacher, professional educators all over this state, and it's a credit to Dr. Henry and to that lady right there as to how well this district has been run, that this is the first time I've appeared before this board in 30 years. So,
Excuse me, did you want to use the entire 10 minutes?
I did.
Okay.
I've got two. I think I had two in rebuttal, right?
You do.
So yes. So I give Dr. Henry and Marnie Sims a lot of credit for the way they've run this district, and I hope it stays that way. There's no greater duty than a parent's duty to their child, and no greater love that a mother has for their own children. And when a mother witnesses their own child being assaulted, being abused by those people who are sworn to protect them, they're going to intervene every time. Every time. And you hire professional educators and you expect them to protect the children under their charge. Nicole Graves, for 17 years, has been a professional educator in this district. For 16 of those years, she's been an outstanding educator in this district. Ms. Thomas testified to that she's an outstanding educator. And for 16 of those years, there was never an issue in this district for her. The last year at TIPS, there was a problem. She has two children. One is a severe type 1 diabetic, her older one. Her second child, the one at issue in this case, has been diagnosed with disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, anxiety disorder, ADHD, a speech impediment, and other things that I can't pronounce. It's a disability, a list of disabilities that disrupts him every day. She moved over to TIPS so she could have both of her children at her school at the same time, at the same place. My good friend, Mr. Hodgins, just told you that she allowed her son to come to her class. She didn't do that. Her son left his place, and a teacher did not keep him where he was to be, and he came to her. How was she to know that he was alighting from his room? He came to her daily. But they blamed it on her. That's the problem. They didn't have a proper person to take care of him in the library, and they left him there alone. And his mother found out about it. In the first week of school, a teacher drug him and assaulted him and drug him down the hallway, and that teacher was charged with a felony. And his mother witnessed that. And she did something about it. What mother wouldn't? That's the backdrop of the case. That's the situation that this mother found herself in at your school. And that's the situation that she found herself in on December the 7th when she heard, when she was on her break, a call on the radio for her son's room, when she opened the door and found the teacher holding her son against the wall, and he was being assaulted again, and the principal standing there watching. and nothing being done. You can find that evidence on Respondent's Exhibit number 23. The hearing officer did everything she could not to let that evidence in, saying it was not relevant that a mother would intervene for her son, but it is relevant because a mother's duty to her children is everything. It's what you expect in this district, that your professional educators will take care of their children. Wouldn't you fire someone for not protecting a child? After December the 7th is when all of the memos started, all of the directives started. All of the problems for Nicole Graves started after the December event when she walked into the classroom and saw the principal standing watching. Please read Respondent's Exhibit number 23, because what happened was your administration put in an exhibit in an email, but they conveniently cut out what's now in evidence as Exhibit number 23. They blacked this out. They didn't want this in evidence, but I put it in under a rule of evidence called the rule of optional completeness so you could see it. This explains the story. This explains what Nicole Graves was up against every day at that school. And so in May, when her son ran around the corner and was running to her room, and the principal had him on the ground, and she walked there to help, and the principal directed her to leave the situation, she said, "I'm here to help." Her son was crying. The principal had him on the ground, holding him there. And yes, she made an unfortunate statement. "I'll fight if I have to." But she didn't threaten the principal. She was trying to help her son from being assaulted yet again for the third time that she knew of at Tips Elementary School, at your elementary school. Were mistakes made? Yes. But 3 times a special needs child was assaulted at this school district by your administration. So did this child's mother do something? She acted. She acted. She did what she had to do to protect her child. She did the things that are necessary to protect her child. So were ethical violations committed? Yes, they were, by that lady right there. Because that principal did not protect that child. She stood in that room and watched as a teacher assaulted that child and then fired her instead of taking care of it. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So I'm going to ask you to do this. Don't fire her. Overturn this. If she needs to amend her conduct, put her on probation. You can do that. Give her a year probation. Suspend her without pay for a week and give her a year probation. But she protected her child who had been assaulted 3 times. What mother wouldn't do that? Overturn this. It's not fair, it's not right, and it is not just. Thank you.
At this time, do any board members have questions for Mr.
Mr.
Barrett?
President, may I have the 2 minutes of rebuttal?
Sure, yes, for rebuttal. Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
My apologies. Mr. Hodges.
Can I proceed with the 2 minutes?
You may, yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. President, board members. It's not fair to misstate why we're here, which is what just happened. There was no assault of 3 times. You can watch the video in May yourself. The principal has him holding his hand. He sits down by the wall. when Miss Graves run out and demands to grab her son, even though she's directed to return to class. There's no assault. That is not accurate. Secondly, in December, we completely dispute the description that you just got. What was read with her was her view of an email. You know there's multiple ways that you can address that issue through grievances or a special ed due process hearing. You don't wait. If that's all true, you could transfer and go to have the student attend the campus that he was supposed to go to before she took him to TIPS. None of that happened. We're in May when these events culminate even further. And I turn you to page 20, board members, page 20 of the findings of fact. This argument, this consideration was heard by the judge and ruled upon. The same argument you're hearing tonight. In finding of fact 109, page 20, respondent's role as a mother does not excuse or allow respondent to ignore her duties as a teacher. That's what she did. Lesson plans has absolutely nothing to do with a kindergartner in a behavior class. The failure to do it almost 50% of the time doesn't meet the standards of this. That alone, just by itself, unrelated to even this argument, is good cause for termination, as found in this decision. The second one, 107, finding of fact. Although a teacher is instructionally good, the teacher must meet core requirements specified in her employment contract and district and board policies. And this teacher failed to do so. Even after being given opportunities to improve.
Please wrap up.
Time and time again. Therefore, we respectfully request that you adopt the recommendation and all its components, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and terminate the contract and discharge the employee from employment with Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. Thank you.
I have 2 minutes, right?
So there's 2 minutes at the end for closing after questions. For closing, if you would.
So that was Mr. Hodgins just used his, right?
No, so it was 10 minutes, so he did 8 and then reserved 2.
I thought he took 10 at the beginning, but that's fine. Okay.
No, we took it away from him.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. At this time, do any board members have questions for Mr. Barrett or the administration, Mr. Hodges? Yes, Natalie.
I would just like to ask a question on the dates for lesson plans and communication about lesson plans. You suggested that all this flurry of memos and correction begun after the incident.
That's correct.
And I know we've been sent this, but I just cannot remember the dates from what I read. Can you tell me the dates of the communication about the critical function of lesson planning?
Not off the top of my head. But I will tell you that the first time a lesson plan was turned in late was before December. But most of the lesson plans that were turned in late were after December. I don't remember how it was sometime in November is my recollection. But I don't remember off the top of my head.
Do you guys have the video? Can we view it?
Yeah, we have a video in evidence of I'm sorry, trustee, was that your question? Yeah, there is a video of the May 12th hallway, and you can see the principal.
He wants to know if we have it here. I think he's asking if we have it here to look at.
I'm sorry, did I misunderstand your question?
Is the video available to view right now?
Right now? Don't know if it's, I'll have to look to Ms. Collins Sims to answer your question, trustee. I know it's available for closed session for review and deliberation, but if, but you can, you identify, we'll see if we can. Can you give us a moment, Mr. President? Or
He actually has it on his computer, it says.
Recommend?
If you allow us to view it and
She has it on.
Well, they may have questions, I think is what the issue was.
He has a copy of it on his computer, he said? If you, okay, we can watch it in closed session, if that's okay?
Closed session, yes. No objection.
That's fine.
Are there any other questions from the board? No? No. If there are no more questions, we'll begin with closing statements. Mr. Hodges makes the closing statement, and you have 2 minutes.
Board members, thank you very much for your consideration. This is a serious matter. He said 30 years he hasn't done one. The superintendent hasn't come to this point. Dr. Henry's not going to come before this board without grounds to do so. And those grounds have been proven in multiple areas, both failure to follow directives. Actually, if you look at the exhibit regarding the lesson plans, they were early in the school year and then throughout the school year with reminders and directives to please do them. That's what the evidence actually shows. And there were failure to follow directives in multiple areas unrelated to the challenges with her son. But those challenges with her son do not define the principal's directive to return to class, not to interfere, or to be threatened. And part of the reason we know in the evidence of just a short time before in May, that was the circumstance of her throwing and saying, "I'm Nicole," threatening verbally. And then May 12th happened, right in time to this principal with this employee. On those circumstances, it was inappropriate. It doesn't meet the standards of this school district, nor should it. All grounds were supported by an independent hearing examiner who heard every last detail and looked at every last morsel of argument and consideration, and she appropriately found findings of fact and conclusions of law and a determination that good cause existed for termination on all three grounds of failure to follow directives and violation of board policies. We respectfully request that you adopt that and implement it and declare termination of contract and discharge under these difficult but important facts. Thank you.
Mr. Tretico?
Thank you. It's interesting, my good friend Mr. Hodgins says that the hearing officer heard all the evidence when the administration objected to the evidence and the hearing officer sustained those objections and did not allow a full and complete hearing, vetting of the evidence around the December assault and would not allow evidence in regarding much of those issues. And so there was not a full vetting of those issues. And you will see in the record the attempts that I made to get that evidence in to have a full and fair vetting of all of those issues. So there was not a full vetting of that issue. And the hearing officer chose not to hear the issues regarding that. But what is clear in the record is that most of the issues, most of the directives, most of the memos came after December 7th of that year. And that's when the problem started, after that happened in that classroom. This issue only came up in one school year for a 17-year employee. Something happened. You don't go 16 years being an exemplary teacher, and in 1 year this happens. And in 1 year you get that bad. So something happened to cause this. And we can only identify one thing, and that was the problems that her son was exhibiting and the assaults that he was experiencing and the problems that they were experiencing in the classroom that was causing her son to alight and come to her room. That's the problem. And that was a mother trying to take care of that child. And I ask you not to fire her over that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tretico. Thank you. If there's nothing else, the board would now deliberate this matter in closed session without the parties. The matter will be posted on action tonight, so the board will convene in open session after closed session tonight and take action regarding the hearing administrator's recommendation. Ms. Graves, you'll receive written notice of the board's decision following this action of the board. The board will now deliberate in closed session. It is currently 8:45 p.m. The parties are excused, and the board will notify the parties when they're ready to reconvene in open session and take action.
Thank you, board members, very much.
Can I get a motion to return from closed session?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Great. We're now back in open session. 4.0, the board will consider an action and take on independent hearing examiner's recommendation in TE docket 076 LH 072023 regarding the proposed discharge of Nicole Graves. This item was discussed in closed session this evening pursuant to section 551.074. May I have a motion, please?
President Henry, I move that the Board of Trustees of Cypress-Fairbanks ISD adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law submitted by the independent hearing examiner, including the determination of good cause between recommendation for the termination of the term contract between Nicole Graves and Cypher ISD.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Here in a second, are there any questions? Seeing none, may I take a vote, please? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Vote is 7-0. At this time, we'll end our open session. We thank you very much for everyone attending tonight. And we'll now enter into closed session. May I get a motion to move to closed session, please?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. We're now in closed session for item 4P, you said good to go? Okay, 4.0, the board will now consider to take action on independent here. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. 4P, the board will consider level 4 grievance appeal for Ms. Grayson on a level 3 decision. We did discuss this item in closed session pursuant to 551.074. May I have a motion, please?
So moved? I don't actually have the text in front of me.
I have the text. I move that the board uphold the level 3 decision made by the administration.
May I have a second?
Second.
Now I have a second. Are there any questions at this time?
I do not have a question, I have comments.
Go for it.
Ms. Grayson, I'll speak for myself. And really I'm more addressing HR and our team. We have a highly sought-after employee that has requested information and has communicated to us before this meeting that she didn't feel that she received information in a timely fashion. She didn't feel that she got information to help her understand how we arrived at the recommendation that we did, the calculations that she sought after. We hear a gap in communication. And our hope is that as we're interacting with our team members, that we don't repeat this, not just the error, but this type of it's almost a lack of justice. we're bound by our own rules. We have to abide by the policies that we set forth. We understand that we're going to uphold our policies. But at the same time, the human element, pay and HR, these are the toughest issues there are at a corporation. You guys have a hard job. You have a really hard job. And there's a lot of feelings all the way around whenever you guys get involved. And I do not relish the leadership that you have to administer on a day in and day out basis. That's a tough role that you guys have. So I know that you will listen to her comments and, you know, be introspective and think about how best to go handle this going forward. I know that you guys will. You guys carry yourselves well. At the same time, you know, there's a sense of conflict that we want to do something maybe different, but at the same time, we recognize a policy that's sitting in front of us. And perhaps as a matter of process, when we submit these kinds of statements to a team member, that we can advise them and say, you have the following recourse if you wish to have any adjustments. Because while it's a true statement that she has the policy and she has to sign off on an annual basis, I am also an employee. I can't tell you all the provisions in my own company's policy. I don't review them. My job is to make money for my company on a day in and day out basis. So it's very challenging to recognize when I've stepped over a line that I can't cross back. And that's the unfortunate state that we all find ourselves in this evening. So perhaps there's guidance that can help someone understand their recourse or how to communicate so that they don't have that sense of just no recovery. Because the second she crossed that 15-day threshold after the February letter, there was, based upon this grievance and what was available to her to grieve, there's no recourse. So it's a very unfortunate circumstance. I'm finished.
Natalie?
I would like to maybe suggest, I'm not sure if this is a 2019 issue, but that if salary offers are made, that there's definitely double eyes on those, and also maybe formalizing in some kind of form should someone be told that they're going to have a salary freeze or something official like that, that there be a form that captures that action, just so improvements in process. Even though unfortunately before us, the situation is such that this is a decision of timeline of notification in order to file a grievance. And I do see a February 23rd memo that says very clearly what was being stated, and it went upon our, sorry. February 20th. Thank you, February 20th memo, and it had local policies. So unfortunately, my job is to uphold policies, but I would ask us to have a better procedures possibly in order to capture that, and timeliness from, if we're expecting that kind of timeliness from our employees that we value highly, that are, you know, and especially our paraprofessional work staff, even though they don't have the protections of contracts, they are a large part of our workforce that we want to definitely respect and treat very professionally and properly. So I would just maybe ask that you guys look at your processes around that.
Ms. Grayson, I consider this to be a very unfortunate situation because we're dealing with a valued employee and their salary, and we all have families, we all have bills to pay, so I understand the impacts of salary disruption. But as I look at all the facts before us, it's pretty clear that the policy was not filed in regards to the actual grievance policy. So therefore, I'm inclined to support the motion. However, it's still an unfortunate situation, especially based, there was some communication that could have been better. And one of the I'm very hopeful that we do not have any type of systematic issues going forward where we're having to recalculate employee salary. It's in a very unfortunate situation. I hope it's a one-off situation. One of the things I would recommend, to our human resources personnel is that maybe going forward, and this may be something that is done already, that when we do send out correspondence such as the February 20th letter, that we remind the recipients of the letter what the grievance policy is, what the appeals process is, especially with the timeline. Even though Ms. Grayson and all the other employees were provided that, to maybe avert this situation going forward, maybe we just provide extra communication whenever we're sending out this kind of correspondence, reminding them of what their the appeals process and what options they have going forward. But nonetheless, I genuinely feel bad about the situation, but at the same time, the policy was not followed, and therefore I'm inclined to support the level 3 decision made by the administration.
Again, I'll just reiterate what they said. We hear you. We understand completely where you're coming from, and it's a terrible situation. We do apologize that you're in that situation. It was thoughtfully considered and thoughtfully thought about. Just want you to know that first and foremost, because we value your employment very, very much, and we thank you for your service. With that being said, I will take a vote this time. All in favor of the second and the motion, please raise your right hand. That is a vote of 7-0. We'll now take a motion to adjourn. May I get a motion to adjourn, please?
President Henry, a motion that we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor, raise your right hand, please. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.